So this is part 3 of my review of Gnosticism, the Great Course. Starting here on lecture 7. And I'm very tired, so I'm not going to do a very good job on this one. It was really hot last night, so I was up watching TV, and then I was up early doing this. And anyway, so Zostrianos is a hero in a story which ascends. Wow, and my notes are going to be bad. I realize now, because that doesn't even make sense. As I was very tired when I was writing this. So, I'm sorry about that. I'm going to do my best. And we're having, this is James's beet juice, and I have mine here, and I don't want to drink it, but I plan on drinking a whole pitcher of it. Let's see if I can. Oh no. We'll see how it goes. So anyway.
So that's your beet juice? Oh,
that's
you've got
yours.
your own. Okay.
I have mine under here. Lecture 7. So, ritual pathway to God. The immovable race, seeds of Seth. People became offsprings of Noriah or Seth through ritual baptism. Egyptian Gospel, 150 to 275 AD. Seed of Seth received his name upon the water. Non-Gnostic defile the water. First thought, barbello, washes and saves a person. Anointing head with oil is inconclusive with Gnostic baptism. They're not exactly sure how the 5 seals were done or whatever, what they were. Does it refer to the 5 steps, washing and throning, etc., or did they anoint 5 parts of the body with oil? Don't know about it at all. So, those who receive baptism will receive gnosis. 3 stales, or tablets of Seth.
Steles.
Steles?
Ordinarily, I would say stele would be a better pronunciation.
Okay.
They're
Enoch.
big. They are made out of rock.
Yeah.
They're kind of like rock monuments with carved and stuff.
Okay.
The inscriptions.
Enoch sees God's face. The Gnostic God doesn't have a face. Philosophical path. I did not write philosophical correctly. To knowing God is second way. Eros, God of erotic love. Erotic desire is meant to lead us to love God. First, young male is seen as attractive. Then you should love the soul. Then you love math. Then you may see beauty itself, which is God. Your own intellect is a miniature version of God's intellect, so start there. The foreigner is guided by Uriel. He waits 100 years, must know our true self, intellect, in order to know God. Blessedness, vitality, and reality, the invisible spirit. Oh, I think at the 100 years thing, this is just, you're supposed to learn throughout your life. So if you live 100 years, you're learning the whole time. Maybe you see God in the end.
I think it's a pretty good idea.
Yeah. But I don't know. That was just my take on it while I was learning that, and keep in mind, very tired. So, blessedness, vitality, and reality, invisible spirit is not knowable. It's a paradox. By contemplating our own intellect, we gain knowledge of God. The path to knowing God is in our intellect. So Gnostic interest is Gnostic interest in assertive females like Eve and Noriah. So the Gnostic faith is actually pro-assertive women. Lecture 8, the gals. Father, mother, and the son are the first eons. Depict God as female. Forethought is a feminine noun in Greek, pronoia. Barbello is female. There's a strong female element in Gnostic teachings. Wisdom, Sophia, is clearly female. When wisdom and forethought communicate to human beings, they do it through females. Eve, Noriah, strong feminine element in Gnosticism. The Gnostics speak of a divine mother. Gnostics worship a God which is both father and mother, androgynous. There's only one sex, male when perfect. Okay, this is what was thought back then, that the male was the perfect and female was imperfect. They didn't know whether maybe females didn't spend enough time in the womb or something, and so they weren't fully developed into males. So this is what was thought. So when they thought of the perfect barbello back then they referred to barbello as male. So because it made total sense to them that barbello had to be both male with feminine qualities, because barbello is perfection and female is imperfect, being born probably too early or something, not fully formed into a male, and that's how females come about, right? So keep that in mind. It's not necessarily that barbello is male, it's the perception of barbello as male by people who cannot possibly comprehend that barbello could be female. So, the male consort must give his consent to wisdom's thought. When wisdom thought on her own, the result was imperfection. So there has to be both female and male communication, and they both have to contribute to the thought process in order for the idea to be perfect. It otherwise is imperfect. The thunder, the paradoxical dilemma for being female. Eve is both holy and despised, holy and whore, has a male which also gave birth to her. Eve is the embodiment of the divine. Isis,
Erotology, study of love or something like that.
I don't know. Goddess who reminds humans of her virtues. The Gnostic book is called The Thunder because the voice of Eve, Isis, is like thunder. The reality of the rulers, text. Noria is prominent. Gender and sexual violence. Evil rulers are attracted to female power. The divine spirit within Eve becomes a tree. Noria becomes the female source of divine power. Noah won't let her in the ark. The rulers attack her, but she tells them, "It is you who are the rulers of darkness. You are accursed. And you did not know my mother. Instead, it was your female counterpart that you knew. For I am not your descendant. Rather, it is from the world above that I am come." Noria asks God for help. So the luminary Alilith rescues her and lets her know that she is the mother of all saved people. Women are the repeated objects of sexual violence. I gotta drink something. I'm thirsty.
Now quench your thirst, you won't want to drink any more of it.
That's really bad. That's really bad. Okay. Ugh. Blah. Blah. Sex comes from Aldebaoth. Ah! God, that was awful!
Yep.
Sexual desire leads human beings astray. Christians universally agreed that sex for pleasure out of desire was wrong. So, but if you think about it, sure, Eve was raped initially by Aldebaoth, but also Adam and Eve had sex, and
They had Seth.
and so it's not necessarily, why would you think it's a bad thing? It's a bad thing to be raping women. That's definitely a bad thing. Anyway, Lecture 9, the Gospel of Thomas. It's a collection of 100 plus sayings of Jesus. Scholars always knew that gospel existed because several early Christian authors mention it. Hippolytus even quoted from it. Thomas is the most famous text of the Nag Hammadi. Number 80. Whoever has come to know the world has discovered the body, and whoever has discovered the body of that one, the world is not worthy. Okay. For many people, this gospel really is what Gnosticism is really about. So he's saying if you really want to understand Gnosticism, you read the Gospel of Thomas. And it's interesting. This morning I went to, I talked with a friend this morning, and I mentioned that I was reading or trying to learn about the Gospel of Thomas this morning. And he said, God didn't put that in the Bible. And I thought of saying, God didn't put anything in the Bible, but I thought better of that, and I said, well, the Romans didn't put that in the Bible. Anyway.
Yeah.
It's amazing how people don't really think about, they read the Bible and they think, and they could have read it 1,000 times James probably read it 1,000 times
I don't know,
over his lifetime. And still they don't really understand that it wasn't even, like, you get the different books and you have an account of what happened according to Mark or according to Luke. And, I mean, did these people even write this? Were they even the people who wrote or who told the story to somebody who wrote it? Do you see what I'm saying? Like, anyway, do you know the dates on when each book was written offhand?
No one.
Okay. No one knows that at all? Because they know
They're not dated, so.
Okay, but they have an idea of when.
Got a rough idea. I think they're saying Paul was writing his letters around 50 AD. So
Yeah,
20
that's
years
what they were
after
saying.
Jesus
But
died.
then in here they were saying I think Mark was the first book.
Oh.
But I
They're
can't
just, kinda
reconcile
guessing.
that because Paul was the first book, I think, right? Paul. If he was writing his letters, then that would be the first stuff written, no? So still Mark.
I don't know. We don't know. They're just guessing.
Okay.
Hopefully it's educated guesses, but no.
So anyway.
The things aren't dated, and if they're not dated, even if they're dated, you got to be skeptical about anything.
Well, I'm trusting this guy's. He seems to have really studied the stuff, so.
He wouldn't
And
be
I
dating
mean,
that stuff, it's someone else.
I mean, I'll need to really think on things. I wouldn't want to trust anybody's interpretation of facts entirely anyway, but he's really giving a great introduction to the stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Gospel of Thomas. And I could tell that my friend was not very happy about me reading trying to learn about the Gospel of Thomas. So I'm not reading it yet. I'm just reading little bits of it right
There's
now.
not much to read. You can read it in the daytime. But the problem would be
I'm going to have to
know
take a lot
the
of time on it.
well, maybe we'll look at Coptic. How's that sound?
Sure.
This stuff is in Coptic.
Well, it would be, yeah. That's what you were saying. You have this.
They got I own it.
Yeah.
They got a phenomenal Coptic dictionary out of the universities. Compiled by did it a long time ago. It's about this thick, big format.
All right. Gospel written before year 200. The author was said to be Thomas, but scholars don't believe this. They don't believe any of the disciples wrote a gospel. The disciples
There you go.
didn't
And
know
I'm
Greek.
skeptical of their skepticism. But
Yeah.
you look at.
Well, Paul was obviously learned. I don't know why
he
he
was.
wouldn't have.
Well, he wouldn't have written 4 gospels, I don't think. See what I'm saying? He might have written 1 of them, but how about the other 3?
I don't know.
No.
I don't
But
know.
yeah, it's possible. Here's the deal. Yeah, you have to be skeptical about
Yeah,
the
they
dudes
say the
that were-
earliest gospel written was Mark, year 70. That's what. They
Yeah, so that's after what they claim was for the epistles. Here's the deal. I don't know how fishermen were literal. I think 4 of them were fishing.
Yeah.
At least 4 of
They
them.
wouldn't have written their own stuff, but they could have dictated.
Very good. Yeah.
But who knows, right?
They could have learned how to write. I mean, people have done that as
Well, yeah.
adults, so these things aren't law.
Jesus could have empowered them to do so.
No, that's true. But
Why
I
not?
prefer to go with things a little bit more explicable. But at any rate,
Okay.
here's the deal. The Gospels are really short. I mean, a person, if they really sat down to it, it wouldn't take a lot of work. Could read the New Testament in one day. That's the New Testament. So the
Yeah.
Gospels, well, we've gone through them, right? Remember?
Yes.
It was just like one evening, reading it
Yeah.
out loud. So there.
Okay. So, number 1, whoever finds the interpretation of these sayings will not taste death. So, if you read the Gospel of Thomas and you actually figure out what each of Jesus's sayings, what Jesus was meaning by what he was saying, then I guess you're going to the kingdom. So, number 2, let one who seeks not stop seeking until one finds. When one finds, one will be disturbed. When one is disturbed, one will be amazed and will reign over all. Number 3, if your leaders say to you, behold, the kingdom is in the sky, then the birds in the sky will get there before you. If they say to you, it's in the sea, then the fish will get there before you. Rather, the kingdom is inside you and outside you. When you know yourselves, then you are children of the living Father. But if you do not know yourselves, then you live in poverty and embody poverty. Number 96, the kingdom of the Father is like a woman who took a little yeast, hid it in dough, and made large loaves of bread. Whoever has ears ought to listen. Number 98, the kingdom of the Father is like someone who wanted to put a powerful person to death. He drew his sword at home and thrust it into a wall to find out whether his hand would go through. Then he killed the powerful person. Number 107, the kingdom is like a shepherd who had 100 sheep. One of them, the largest, went astray. He left the 99 and looked for the one until he found it. After he toiled, he said to the sheep, I love you more than the 99. Number 108, whoever drinks from my mouth will become like me. I myself shall become the person, and the hidden things will be revealed to him. Number 113, his disciples said to him, when will the kingdom come? Jesus said, it will not come by looking for it, nor will it do to say, behold over here, or behold over there. Rather, the kingdom of the Father is spread out on the earth, but people do not see it. When Jesus tells of thrusting the sword through the powerful person, surely Jesus isn't suggesting murder. This guy's pointing that out, that these things mean something else. You just have to figure it out. So he's not telling people to stab him. Anyway, lecture 10, fasting, giving alms, and praying were a part of Jewish and most Christian life, but Jesus rejects these acts of piety as harmful. What is important is cultivation of the soul. The divine light within us, not external activities. In Luke 14, Jesus says that people must hate their parents, siblings, spouses, and children if they're to be his disciples. In Thomas, whoever does not hate father and mother cannot be my disciple, and whoever does not hate brothers and sisters and carry the cross as I do will not be worthy of me. The true followers of Jesus will embrace poverty, homelessness, and begging. Thomas also strongly condemns making money and engaging in business. Our bodies are not who we are. Our spirit is who we are. Our souls existed in a spiritual realm of light, a condition of rest. The end will be where the beginning is. Blessed are those who are solitary and chosen, saved people are single ones. Number 16, Jesus said, perhaps people think that I have come to bring peace to the world. They do not know that I have come to bring conflict to the world. Fire, sword, war. For 5 people will be in a house. It will be 3 against 2 and 2 against 3, father against son and son against father, and they will stand at rest as solitaries. Monocaust, word for solitary. Monk came from it. Number 22. Nursing babies like those who enter kingdom. This quote now from that's number 22. When you make the two into one, when you make the inside like the outside like the inside, and the upper like the lower, when you make female and male into a single one, so that the male will not be male, nor the female be female. When you make eyes in place of an eye, a hand in place of a hand, a foot in place of a foot, an image in place of an image, then you will enter the kingdom. People will experience salvation when we combine opposites and make the two one. Letter of Jude, and author tells himself the brother of James. Judas Thomas is the brother of Jesus, since James was brother of Jesus. He is called Didymus Judas Thomas. Didymus meant twin.
So does Thomas. Did you know that?
I didn't know that. That's really interesting.
Twin.
Some early Christians believed Didymus Judas Thomas was Jesus' twin. Not that they were born at the same time, but that they looked alike. Sometimes people think they are talking to Thomas, but are actually talking to Jesus. Number 37, his disciples said, "When will you appear to us, and when will we see you?" Jesus said, "When you strip without being ashamed, and you take your clothes and put them under your feet like little children and trample them, then you will see the Son of the Living One, and you won't be afraid."
So you might see Jesus on the nude beach.
On the nude beach.
There you go.
You just go under the nude beach, take your clothes on, and stomp them.
That's right.
And there you go. Don't be afraid. Number 114, Simon Peter said to them, "Make Mary leave us, for females are not worthy of life." Jesus said, "Look, I've become a living male spirit like you, for every female who makes herself male will enter the kingdom of heaven." Number 14, if you fast, you will bring sin upon yourselves. If you pray, you will be condemned. If you give charity, you will harm your spirits. What's important is the spirit, not the physical. That's what's being said here. Well, according to that. When you go into any region and walk about in the countryside, when people take you in, eat what they serve you. Heal the sick among them. After all, what goes into your mouth won't defile you. What comes out of your mouth will. Jesus forbids lending money at interest and tells rich people they should renounce their possessions. Gospel of Luke has same parable. 63. There was a rich man who had a great deal of money. He said, "I shall invest my money so that I may sow, reap, plant, and fill my storehouses with produce, that I may lack nothing." These were the things he was thinking in his heart. And but that night he died. Whoever has ears to hear should listen. Wealth is a distraction that keeps us from our salvation. Number 21, Mary said to Jesus, "Whom are your disciples? Whom are your disciples like?" He said, "They are like children living in a field that is not theirs. When the owners of the land come, they will say, 'Give our field back to us.' The children will take off their clothes in the presence of the owners, and thus give the field back and return it to them." Lecture 11, Valentinus, and I'm not going to read that one, so I'm just ending right there. And that's, I will read it later on.